Welcome to the Whiskey Burn. This is my whiskey den. My name's Jay. This is episode 7. Is it all about the Scotch? Stay with me. I've got a guest to talk all about Irish whiskey, something I've never drunk. So, is it all about the Scotch? Okay, so here we are, episode 7. Isn't it all about Scotch? Here with me this week, special guest Adam, who is from Ireland and is going to talk about Irish whiskey and what the difference is between Irish whiskey and Scotch whiskey. Now, welcome to Whiskey Burn.
Thank you for having me.
And welcome to my whiskey den. What do you think?
It's nice and dark.
Nice and dark. Best way of that. So, when I think of Irish whiskey, I think of Bushmills and Jameson. Now, that's like people saying, when I think of Scottish whiskey, I think of Bell's, Famous Grouse and Macallan.
Pub whiskies.
Yeah, pub whiskies, which is what I see Jameson's as, really. But I'm sure there's a lot more to it than that. So, what have you got here?
Well, first off, you're right. Jameson's it's a global whiskey. It's all over the place. Now, this is a different version. This is a black barrel version. So they've kind of charred the inside of the barrel. It gives that wee tint of spice and char. But then with the Scotch, that's probably the most popular Irish whiskey. In Scotland, with Scotch whiskey, they have, as you know, because you've got plenty of it, you've got the single malts, you've got single grain, blended, and in Ireland we have the same. We have single malt, blended, single grain.
So what's this? Is this single malt?
That'll be blended.
Okay.
Jameson's is a blended whiskey, as is Tullymore Dew. The Powers, however, is the thing it's quintessentially Irish. It's pot still, single pot still. And that's lovely.
So the Powers this is your favourite, is it?
It's Powers Johnley, and they do a range.
Right.
Above this is cask strength and that type of thing, but this is a nice one.
So it's 12 years, 46%.
Yeah.
And this is the Tullamore?
This is Tullymore Dew. Now this is my guilty pleasure, really.
Okay.
It's about £20 or so.
20 quid?
Yeah, you'll like that one, I think.
Why would I like it? Because it's cheap.
Because it's sweet and it's honey.
Oh, I see.
It's honey based. And
yes,
that's one of the profile. That's one of the things that's different from Scotch to Irish, is there's a sense of butterscotch and honey and vanilla with Irish whiskey. And that's purely just the way they've treated it.
Oh, I see, okay. So, for a beginner, because there's a lot of people who watch the Whiskey Burn who are beginning in their whiskey journey. If you watched last week, it's all about a journey from where you started to where you're going. So, this is all part of my journey. And
yes, okay.
I am new to, I've had a Jameson's and I've had, do you know what, I haven't even had a Bushmill. But what I'd like to know is, which one should I start with?
I'm going to start you on the Tullymore Dew.
Okay.
So this is a blended one. But like Scotch, they take a single malt or a single grain or whatever. But in Ireland they have the option of pot still, which Jameson's have used. And they blend them together.
So Scottish blends tend to be 3 different whiskies.
Yes.
Is that similar to Irish blends?
It is.
Okay.
It is.
Excellent.
The single malt, the single grain, it's all, well, as you know, it's malted barley.
Yeah.
Done at a single distillery, so you get your single malt. Same in Ireland. The blending's the same. Single pot still, the thing that makes that different to single malt is they use malted and unmalted barley.
Okay.
They use raw barley and the malted stuff, which gives it a lovely cream and peppery taste.
And the Irish stick an E in the whiskey.
We do stick an E in whiskey. I have no idea why.
I thought it was something to do with the fact that you could only have it without an E if it was Scottish.
No, there's a few stories. One of my favourite is Scotland took the whiskey world over.
Yeah.
So to differentiate, they stuck an E in it, like the Canadians. And
yeah.
And some bottles, I don't have them here, they do spell it without the E in Ireland.
Okay.
Just preference, really.
Let's get to it. Let's do some tasting. This is what it's all about.
So Tullymore Dew, yes. So these are going to be lighter.
Okay.
than Scotch. Scotch is heavy, and they'll
In
leave
what
it for a
sen-
long time.
In what sense?
So they would distill it twice and treat it whatever way they want to do it, and then they stick it in a barrel for 12, 15, 20 years,
Yeah.
or at least 3, as you know. I nearly said Jameson, in Irish whiskey, they distill it 3 times.
Oh,
and don't
right, okay.
leave it as long.
Yeah.
So it comes with a lighter, smoother taste. And definitely not as harsh as Scotch.
Well, we shall see. I have my eyes here. I have my eyes here.
I'm
I'll
not
go
going to
back
recommend ice for this one.
Okay.
Potentially these two, because they've got a bit of pot still and it can make them thicker and creamier.
So what does a pot still do? Make it, like you said, thicker and creamier?
Yeah, it was developed to get around some tax
Ah.
evasion thing, because instead of using
Oof.
all of this barley and paying tax on it, we'll use this much, and then we'll use some raw stuff as well.
That smells very nice. That's
It is.
what am I getting there? Am I getting fruit?
But I get like a sweet
Yeah,
honey
honey.
butterscotch. And
So what's this? 40%.
this is
Yeah.
40% triple blend, so they've used 3 different blends, and triple distilled, which will give it that smooth feeling.
Oh, that's nice.
This is my guilty pleasure. It's a
Mm.
quick pickup.
That is good whiskey. That it's when you get it on the tongue and the top of the mouth, you can feel it and taste it. I'd say that's got a short finish.
Oh yeah, it's short. It's not too warm. There's that Irish creaminess to it.
So when you talk about the creaminess of it, when you put it to your lips, it feels thicker than a Scotch.
Yes,
And I think that's sort of the creamy.
that's
What's
triple distilled.
Oh, okay.
And
Okay. That does make a difference. That's actually really quite. I didn't know that, and that's.
And that's where I know you like it with ice. I'm a neat drinker. You're an ice man.
Yeah.
It will open those. It will open that creaminess up.
Do you know what? Can't help it.
And I think we've poured a bit too much to get through that.
As I say, we've got another 2 to try here, so you could be with us for a while. Saying that, I did a whiskey burn the other day, and it was 20 minutes, 19 minutes long. That was quite long.
So what do you get from that now?
Obviously, it dilutes everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like it dilutes, if I can get my words out.
And enhances.
It dilutes that honey butterscotch smell. I'm getting a bit of salt. A salty smell. Does like this one. And do you know what? That's what I like about the ice, is you can have it neat and then stick some ice in. You get 2 whiskey, and the coldness takes off, I think, a bit of that harsh. It'd be interesting to see what this tastes like, ever so slightly watered down and cold.
What does it taste like?
Very smooth. You get it at the back of your throat. Very creamy and thick. It's like, it's not as thick as the neat version.
No.
Oh,
And this is £20. I mean, it's on the same level as your Tamla Vullens and that type of. If you like the single malt Scotch. Done.
So the Tullamore.
Tullamore Dew.
The Tullamore Dew, you said, was a beginner one.
Yeah.
And it's
It's
cheap enough
beginner.
as well. So if you are wanting to try Irish whiskey, let's have a quick look here. This one, don't want to spill any. This one, with a little bit of ice, the whole of it is smooth from the first touch on your lips to the finish, very smooth. And it was smooth without the ice. So that is a nice surprise. So what one next?
Jameson's. We all know and love Jameson's. We've all seen it hang upside down in the bars. Now, personally, I don't like
You don't like
Jameson is the standard one. But they've brought these out. This is the black barrel, where they've sharded the inside of the barrel, which they say gives it that colour, but I think there might be a bit of colouring in there.
I'm actually going to do a whiskey burn on colouring. That's quite a deep whiskey
It's
colour.
a Dalmore colour, isn't it?
Because the Dalmore is a bit naughty
And
for colour.
This, if you like Jack Daniels, you're going to like this.
Okay.
It's
I'm
very,
expecting it to be quite smoky by the fact you were saying it's charred.
but it's still smooth because it'll have been
Triple distilled for rich, smooth notes of vanilla, toasted oak, caramel and spice. There's a lot in there. No smoke.
No, it's just that subtle bit of char. There will be a bit of spice. That's the.
Feel free to pour.
I think this one has a bit of pot still in it. But if you prefer the sherry cask, they do a Jameson's Crest, which has more sherry influence.
Okay.
And they do a black barrel proof, cask proof, which is supposed to be really nice, but I haven't got that yet.
Pop.
Do you still want ice in this?
Oh yeah, good point.
On the floor.
It's only the whiskey den. It's fine.
It's this with this one. You'll. Oh, that's a lot. Sorry. It's worth noting this bottle has like 2 inches at the bottom, so when you hold it, it feels like
That's
litre
a heavy
bottle.
Yeah. Do you know what I thought that when I picked it up? I thought, guys, this is a litre bottle.
It's not. It's just weighted.
There isn't much smell to this.
No.
So the aromas on this, I'm getting slight vanilla and slight spice.
I get warm fruit, vanilla, and a very bourbon taste to it, a Jack Daniel's taste.
I'd say this very very different to the Tullamore Dew. It's got a nice smell. It's a different smell, different texture smell. Am I expecting a creamy taste to this?
It'll be creamy. You'll get a bit of spice on the back.
Okay.
And I reckon when you put your ice in it, you'll be hit with toffee.
I got hit with toffee then.
Did you?
Massive toffee hit at the back of the throat.
And
wow.
This is 40, just like the Tullamore Dew, but it's about £20 more than the Tullamore Dew.
So that's about £40 bottle.
Yeah, £20 bottle, £40 bottle.
Is that because of the name? Do we think that's £40 because you're buying the name?
They bring something out that sells. So I don't know. It's global. They're nice.
It's smoother. I'd say it was smoother than the Tullamore Dew.
Can you taste that extra like 15, 20 quid?
It's interesting because what do you want from your whiskey? Do you want to get all the flavours? Do you want to get all the taste? At which point I'd say the Tullamore Dew I got more taste and flavour from.
I'd agree.
The only thing with the Jamesons is the aroma isn't as powerful and it's a smoother drink. It's got a longer finish than the Tullamore Dew.
Now the char, I find it hard to find the char in that.
I mean, even on the bottle's tasting notes, it says smooth notes of vanilla, toasted oak, caramel and spice. I'm getting no smoke,
nope,
nothing.
Neither am I.
Which is odd because you would think in a charred barrel it would be quite smoky.
But yeah, this is from my own collection, so it hasn't affected the drink. It's still a beautiful whiskey to drink. You know, I have scotches, Scotch can be heavier and a bit more rough around the edges.
Yeah.
Although it's perfected, but rough around the edge. I think Irish whiskey's made for drinking. Scotch whiskey's made for sipping. I think that's essentially my feelings on them both.
So, whoa.
It's twice.
Adding the ice is
I'm going to add.
changed. Of course you can. Changed the. I think it's changed the smell, the aroma. I'm getting more of a spice now. Only a little, but I'm getting a bit more of spice. That's nice, that.
Well, between the two, can you taste the creaminess that's probably missing through the Scotch, through some Scotch?
So
because there are some that are triple distilled.
Yeah,
in Scotland, and they all kind of mirror each other in some way or another.
Adding ice again has completely made this smooth, like absolutely smooth. Like there's no whiskey burn in this.
And this is 40, so you could go halfway down a bottle and still sleep all right. I wouldn't drive, but see, I'm getting loads of toffee now.
I'm not getting any of the toffee. What I'm getting now is a little bit of spice at the front of my mouth, and it's carrying to the back slowly. I'd say it's now got a medium finish. So this is right. Episode 1, to ice or not to ice. This is exactly why you should ice after drinking it neat. But
I guess it's like
Ice is giving me the spice. That's so...
ice giving you spice. You see, I get all that without the ice. With the ice, I'm getting more of the sweeter note rather than the notes I would expect from a bourbon-based charred barrel. The vanillas and the...
Definitely.
The fruits.
More spice with the ice. How bizarre. But that just goes to show, doesn't it? Everybody
different
gets something different from whiskey, which is why when people go, they all taste the same and they all smell the same. You don't...
But that's an important thing, though, because I'm a big Scotch drinker, an Irish drinker, and it is hard to spend money on, because this would be top of the range, like
so
60 quid or so. This is but learning to read the labels, you can look at it and expect what you're expected to taste, just from what they've put the cask in. And
so what's interesting is, so this is what you would say would be, how much is this one? So you've got 20, 40, 60.
65.
Okay. 65, 60 pounds. And this is the Powers single pot still, guaranteed only pot still, Irish whiskey. What it doesn't say on it, interestingly enough, it doesn't have any tasting notes whatsoever.
Hang on.
What you...
Got a mouthful of ice. So tasting notes on this, reading the label, we know it's 12-year pot still, so there's going to be a bit of depth on that because it's been sitting for 12 years.
It's also 46%.
It's 46 now. When I get something over 40, I think you do it too. I pour and let it air. Because if you stick your nose straight in there straight away, you're just going to get smacked in the mouth with alcohol.
Yeah.
So let it air. So we know it's pot still. So with pot still, you get extra creaminess than you would with.
Oh, so this one's going to be more creamier than the other two.
Creamier, but it's going to have that. It's like it's odd to describe. It's like cream with a spice, like a peppered spice.
Okay.
And the thing why I like this bottle is pot still is Irish.
Okay.
Whiskey. You
Are they all
can't make
pot
it anywhere
still?
else in the world.
Right.
It's not, but when you're blending, you do have that option of you can use pot still whiskey in your blends. And some do. I mean, Bushmills, they would do blends, single malts, all the way up to 25-year single malts.
Wow. Okay.
Which I haven't had the joy yet of.
So they sound pricey. Okay, so we've got no tasting notes on these, on this one, on the bottle.
Ice.
Ice is the best. No tasting notes on these. It's 46%, 12-year pot still. I'm looking forward to this. Around 60, 65 pounds, is that right?
Yeah.
So in a similar way, you've got three different levels, like you do in Scotch, like I've talked about before here. Yeah. Things like the Crag and Glen, which was £8.
Which is what here somewhere. And Irish whiskey does have their Crag and Glen too.
Okay.
Let's
try some of this.
I was going to say what I get off this, but historically that never works because it just changes your mind.
Yeah.
Like, I'm expecting, for example, roasted banana.
That's the same, like.
And you taste it, but
when I read this, when I first read this, if I saw a black barrel and didn't read these little bit of tasting notes here, I'd have gone, I'm expecting something like Talisker Storm, something smoky. Maybe Lefroy-esque. I mean, that's quite medicinal. Mm-hmm. That's what I expected. And then when you read the tasting notes, all it does say is toasted oak is the nearest to charred. And I don't know about you, I get no charred out of that.
And that's something actually, when I've started looking into Irish whiskey, a lot of people say the main difference is Scotch is smoky and Irish isn't. And that's nonsense. They both mirror each other. Yeah. Scotch has fruit. They have grain, like the Haig's grain. Over in Ireland, we have smoky, Connemara smoky, Waterford. They're all, Irish whiskey just tends to be smoother.
I guess it is a matter of opinion, isn't it? Well, I must admit
you won't get as much as this. This is a nice one.
The two that I've had, both are quite creamy in the sense that it's thicker. It feels thicker. And he's tighter with his portions on this one. That much Jameson's, that much Tullamore Dew, and as you can see, he's poured himself a nice big dram.
No, you can
Okay.
swap. No, some whiskies you just like to sit in front of the fire and.
Oh, that smells. I know. So before people comment, yes, we're contaminating the glass. Okay, so we are blending them slightly. Moving on. It's got a very, I want to say orangey. I'm getting.
You will.
Orange.
But not orange, like a sweet orange, like a chewit.
Like a chewit. Sweet.
Like a candied orange, sweet orange.
It's very different. Very fruity.
It's very, that's part of the process as well. You get those orchard fruits. So.
Oh, wow.
The fruits that grow on trees, apples, pears.
And now, I'm getting more.
And if you swirl it round, it moves slower than, I think it moves slower than like a...
So would you say this is creamier than the other two?
Yes. I would say it's more like this one in creaminess.
So, I thought the Tullamore Dew was the creamy one out of the first two we've had. So...
Now you can get the dried fruit on that. I mean, I was comparing them the other night. And it's not that too distant from... what I would think is like a Tamdhu. It just has a bit more spice.
That's got a spicy kick to it when you...
It's 46%, so...
yeah. So...
One for breakfast.
The more percentage, the harsher it is maybe. The more you're going to feel the alcohol and taste the alcohol and get that whiskey burn. Of course,
because it exists in cask strength again. You know, some Scotch and some Irish come in cask strength, which is... even higher, 50s, 60s.
I'm feeling that tip of my tongue more than anywhere.
Yeah, that's
quite a spice on that.
That's probably. The pot still. That's that spice, and the creaminess and the butterscotch, and the slight dried fruit. Now this is up there with Redbreast 12. You've heard of Redbreast 12.
Yeah.
It's more sherry influenced, so it's more like your Bunnahabhain 12s and your Tamdhus. Powers is probably a wee bit softer than the Redbreast, but they're both the same price. Some say Redbreast 12's the best, some say Powers John's Lane's the best. Powers John Lane, because I can get a nicer sherry Scotch.
Do you know what this does smell like? It smells like the Tamnavulin sherry cask. Smell. Yeah. Taste is right. Nothing.
It's interesting because they've got the orchard fruits, which are your white fruits, your peaches, your apples, pears. But there's the dried fruit as well, and that's where you're getting that sherry from. It's the raisins and the figs, and
I can definitely
not that anyone
that.
Ever's bought a fig. We just said, but raisins.
You never bought a fig?
I've never bought a fig. But the raisins and sultanas and the warm crumble, crumble fruit.
It's amazing. You stick an ice cube in it, it completely changes the drink.
I knew it would with that because it's thick, it's creamy. I mean, look at
I would have said that's the creamiest. Yeah. Then that.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the joy of the blend. They can mass produce it quicker and easier because everyone else has done, inverted commas, the hard work. They're just tasting. I mean, some of the biggest blends in Ireland worldwide would be Jameson's. Tullamore Dew's big in the States, and Bushmills. I mean, and most of the whiskey in Ireland is blended.
Is Bushmills the biggest in Ireland, or is it Jameson?
Bushmills, like most things in Ireland, are bigger overseas.
Okay.
Normally the States, because everyone's got a bit of Irish in them. Me, Bushmills is my go-to. It was the one I started on, Black Bush, which is very sherry blended. It's lovely. But in Scotland, they're blended. You know, people think blended are lesser than single malt.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you've done a video, I can't remember, but I'm sure you will. Single malt is not expensive. Single just means one distillery. Malt means they use malt. Single grain, single pot still.
A whiskey's made up of three ingredients, isn't it? See, we could all do it. Let's all make whiskey. But
it's Scotch, the big blended one. You've got your famous grouse, your bells, and then lift it up a bit. Johnny Walker's
blends.
They're all lovely blends.
If you watched last week's episode of the Whiskey Burn, I talked about my whiskey journey and how Johnny Walker Double Black was my go-to for about 10 years.
Was it?
And then, so if you did watch last week's, I talked about my friend who we sent each other a little bottle. This is that friend. So yeah, and that's how I got into different whiskies.
Is that? I know we're doing this in advance. So yeah, because I'm heavily into Scotch whiskey, as you know, and I thought I'm from Ireland, I might as well learn a bit about Ireland. I didn't want to learn too much. I don't care much about the tax and the history and all that.
Yeah.
I want to look at a label and think, I'm going to like this, and then I like to compare it to a Scotch.
Yeah.
Could you compare that Pars to a Scotch?
I would compare it to the Tamnavullen sherry cask. These two, not so much. The Tullamore Dew is just so creamy. It's completely different to... I have not had a creamy...
They've done really good. This is their mid-range. They've got different
cheaper
ranges.
one?
And they've recently redone their logo, which is what I like. Sometimes I don't drink a whiskey because I just like their logo. They've rebranded recently. Jameson's is known. It's a bit too late for them to change their brand.
Yeah, but look at Glenmorangie. They completely changed theirs, didn't
Shocking,
they?
you mentioned that in your last video.
I was not a fan of that. Not a fan.
No, neither am I.
So, let's sum up. What are the main differences between Irish whiskey and Scotch whiskey?
Okay. Scotch whiskey is heavy. It's heavier. They distill it twice. It's a bit heavier and they leave it for longer in their casks. And they love their finishes. So they would mature it in a Oloroso sherry cask.
Yeah.
And then finish it in a rum cask, which is on vogue at the moment. Scotch, they have to use oak barrels. Obviously they get them from the bourbon ones from America and Oloroso from Europe, who have to use brand new ones, but Scotch use used barrels.
Yeah.
The laws in Ireland, the written law has inverted commas saying Irish whiskey has to be used in wood casks such as oak.
So you can use any.
So that's the main difference, and there's a lot of young distilleries coming up now because, without getting into it, as you know, Scotch have Diageo and we have Middleton that kind of destroyed the market, but they're bringing it up again. And I think this is Diageo. I think that's Diageo. Or Middleton.
Yeah.
But what I'm excited about is they can mix all these flavours, but they can use a cask made of apple wood or cedar wood,
and that will change the taste.
And
as
that
we
will
know,
change the taste. So
a cask can have a massive impact on the flavour.
By law, they can
do that. They don't have to stick to oak casks.
I think Scotch is a bit like champagne. I think its brand is going to be its own downfall.
Oh, I see. Yeah. No, that's fair enough.
Because they can't just go, oh, well, we have Scottish pine. Let's make a barrel out of shit. Can't do it.
Okay, so I think to end, for me, you got 20, 40, 60.
Yeah.
And
which one do you prefer? This one?
I like the Tullamore Dew. I thought it was very creamy. It was nice. There is a difference. Okay, so when I was like whiskey's whiskey.
No, but that's a very Irish whiskey. That tastes Irish.
But what I mean is like, I know the difference between different flavours, aromas, different whiskies. But what I mean is, I expected the Irish whiskey to have a sort of sense of the Scottish whiskey, and it does to a degree, but it also has something completely different. It has a complex tasting system in the sense the Tullamore Dew, 20 quid for this, right? and it is so different. It's creamy.
That's the most different to Scotch.
If I had to pick one, that I would go, that one is my favourite, then that one, then that one.
I'd be exactly the same.
And it's bizarre, the cheapest one. And yet the other week I did one where I was talking about the famous grouse being the best selling exported Scotch whiskey. And I'm still getting through that litre, by the way. So there we go. So at the end of the whiskey burn, we have a dram and we say, enjoy your whiskey.
Yeah.
Which one? You pick one.
I bet
he's not going to pick this.
What, to have a final dram?
Yeah.
I'm going to pick Donald.
What a surprise.
Only because he likes it. But I've been there. I've walked into the big supermarkets. And you've got Scotch and you've got Irish.
Yeah.
And sometimes you get the offer. I mean, this is 20 quid, this is 40 quid. All of a sudden, on your sideboard, you have a Scotch and an Irish.
Yeah.
I mean, why not?
Why not?
If your budget allows it, you know.
And next week, I'll be opening a bottle of Japanese whiskey. I've never had Japanese whiskey, so I'll be doing a taste testing next week. Slightly different from my normal conversations, but I think I'm going to start doing a few tastings.
So I haven't had.
Well, there you go.
I know Japanese take their casks from Scotland.
They take their casks from
and there's
all
no
over.
There's no real.
Yeah. So
definition.
Let's have a final dram. And hope you've learned something about Irish whiskey. I have. I genuinely have. I don't think I've even had a Bushmills, you know.
Have I not set one up in the weekend?
I don't think he sent one up. We'll have to check that out. We can let you know.
It doesn't last long. It doesn't last long, but Bushmills is fantastic.
Toffee, butterscotch.
Bushmills kind of. You've got Irish, you've got Scotch. Bushmills do it really well in the middle.
Anyway, that's it for this week. My thanks to Adam. Thanks for joining me. And as always, enjoy your whiskey. Slante?
Sláinte.
Sláinte. Apparently I've been saying it wrong all these weeks.
You've been saying it wrong. 7 episodes. Sláinte.
Sláinte. Cheers.